One of the most valuable things to me, and something that I really stand by, is there's a lot of copycatting when it comes down to art. I see a lot of kids and artists come up and do exactly what other people are doing, and it's, even for a while, they might even get a little shine for it, but it's not their music, it's not their lifestyle. The way that they talk, the way that they dress, the way that they behave, like, you can tell it's not them. You got about a year of that in your life before the rest of the world catches on and leaves you hot on your ass. And it's always been one of the things that I put forward is make your music. It's okay to be influenced by other people, like, I encourage that, but you have to be honest with yourself if you want the rest of the world to believe what you're doing. I'd say the first time the light bulb went off for me for hip hop was when I started listening to Wu-Tang, probably around 8th grade-ish. I started hearing my dad's records and those samples. And I never heard anything like that before, because I was like, oh, wait, it's my dad. Oh, wait, no, it's not. And they took something that I had already really appreciated, and they transformed it into something much more aggressive. I was hooked. Because it became foreign to me again, because it took something that I was already familiar with, and that's when I realized that I could take things that I'm familiar with and manipulate them into this art form. And that's where I decided that it doesn't just have to be the old soul records either. It can be, you know, the classical piano, you know, like Mobb Deep and all those dudes, and Cormega. They were rapping over beautiful, like, classical samples, but were like putting the hardest stuff down on that. You know, that's where I also wanted to bring in folk and, like, you know, like crazy, like, English, like, lute music and stuff like that. But as long as those melodies were there, you know, that experience taught me that I could make music out of anything. A few of my biggest inspirations, they don't really all stem from hip hop. It's not all there for me. Like, for hip hop, Questlove is a genius to me. It's phenomenal. He reinvents the wheel quite a bit, and he's got a tone that, you know, people envy, like Eric Clapton does with his guitar. Took simplicity and made it powerful. You know, big Eric Clapton fan. Big Carole King fan, if you want to talk about that kind of like 60s folk music. And that's, I think, where I get a lot of my songwriting inspiration from, is that kind of realm. Would be like the Bob Dylans and the Carole Kings and the John Lennons. And also that music was beautiful in a sense that kind of, it stimulated your senses where you could get goosebumps and stuff like that. And I've always tried to tie that into my music. And, you know, the older I got is when I started discovering, like, neo-soul, like the D'Angelos and the Bilaals and stuff like that. And that gave me the same feeling. It just had that Motown slump to it that was like my dad's records. You know, I'm able to take all those things at this point and be influenced by that and put that into my music. Lately, I'd say the neo-soul stuff is really getting to me. D'Angelo's Voodoo is probably my favorite record of all time. Creatively, for me, man, I kind of draw from everything. As far as influences go, I got just a giant shopping list of artists.
So we get in there, I'm like, fuck it, we gotta do it, the news is here. So we get into the tank, they start lowering it down, and I'm like, this ain't that bad, because the alligator is like over here on this ledge, and it's huge. I'm talking about like 15, 16 feet.
Dude, it was quite a journey to get with Strange Music in the process. Beforehand, before we even signed anything, it took us, I would say, at least 10 years before that ink dried. And lots of independent projects and shows and everything else in between, and small cars and short trips and you know, floors of people's cribs.
Yeah, I know the stories.
You name it.
Seeing somebody in the exact same place as me and watching all hope of ever succeeding fall away, and watching that progression completely stop, watching that hit that brick wall and just shatter, was really motivating and eye-opening.
And I look at this, I'm like, this is what I think this is. I look over to the crowd and I see this guy in the crowd like, so I'm like, oh, this is ecstasy. What the fuck? Like, he was just making it rain X pills. He's like, for you, for you.